She had everything going for her: forced nursing school, a son she adored, and then she met a man on Facebook dating who promised her forever and ended her life instead. This wasn't just a breakup. It was an execution. Star Michael Tucker Campbell wasn't just another name in the news. She was a mother, a fighter, and a dreamer. She had goals, a future, and the kind of work ethic that kept her moving forward, no matter how hard life hit her. But in January of 2025, her life was stolen in one of the most brutal and heartbreaking ways imaginable. This is the story of how a promising woman ended up dead in the middle of an apartment complex parking lot, and how the man who said he loved her pulled the trigger, then ran her over. And the scariest part? It all started with a swipe. Dating apps were supposed to make love easier, safer even. You match, you chat, you meet up, and if you're lucky, maybe you fall in love. But behind the filtered selfies and sweet texts, there's something darker happening on these platforms. Because what happens when the person you're falling for isn't who they say they are? What happens when love turns into control, and then control turns deadly? That's exactly what happened to Star. And her story might make you rethink everything you thought you knew about online dating. Star was the kind of woman people looked up to. Born in California, she had a spark that lit up every room she entered. She was adopted into a loving family, the Campbells, and from a young age, she was driven. In school, she stood out not just for her grades, but for her athletic talent. She was a volleyball star, known for her intensity and her team-first mindset. Coaches wanted her. Colleges offered her scholarships. And she chose California State University, Bakersfield, to chase her dream. But life wasn't always smooth. In 2015, her birth mother passed away. That same year, Star graduated with a degree in psychology from Florida A&M University. Through her grief, she pushed forward. She got engaged to a fellow student. They even had a son together in 2017. The relationship didn't last, but Star never stopped being a mom first. Her son became her world. She joined the Air Force as a reservist. She worked, studied, and parented all at the same time. By 2024, she was in nursing school, locked in and ready to graduate in spring 2025. Her goal? Become a nurse, provide for her son, and build the stable life she'd always wanted. She wasn't looking for drama. She wasn't looking for chaos. She was looking for someone real. And that's when she met Charles. Charles Jerome Carson-Dowdy grew up in Pritchard, Alabama, one of 10 siblings in a big blended family. He graduated from C.F. Vigor High School in 2013, then bounced around a bit attending Bishop State Community College and eventually moving to Texas. He wasn't exactly thriving. In Texas, he worked as an environmental technician and spent a lot of time at home. He had one son in 2020, and in 2023, he found out he had another. But the thing that really gave Charles attention wasn't his job, or even his kids. It was TikTok. On the app, Charles posted viral videos about relationships. And one in particular got people talking. In it, he said, "I hate when I'm dating and somebody says, 'You always in the house,' like they don't know that if I get a fresh retwist, a fade, and put on some clothes, I'm gonna be a problem. So you either want me to stay in the house and play this video game or go outside and be a problem. You choose." At first, it just sounds like a joke. But looking back, that video feels like a warning. Because Charles had a side of him that wasn't visible on TikTok. A side that would eventually explode into violence. Sometime in late 2024, Star and Charles connected on Facebook dating. At first, everything seemed perfect. They went on cute dates, posted smiling photos together. celebrated holidays. They looked happy. Charles was affectionate, charming, supportive. To outsiders, it looked like Star had finally found someone to match her energy, someone who treated her the way she deserved. But behind the photos and captions, things were changing. Charles became possessive. He wanted to know where Star was, who she was with, and what she was doing. Jealousy crept in. Arguments started. And the people close to Star started noticing that she didn't seem like herself anymore. Still, she stuck by him. Maybe she believed he'd change. Maybe she saw the good in him. Maybe she didn't want to start over again. Whatever the reason, she stayed. January 2nd, 2025. The night everything changed. It was just after New Year's. Star should have been getting ready to start her final semester of nursing school. Instead, she was bleeding out in a parking lot. At 8:30 p.m., 911 calls started flooding in. Gunshots, screaming. An apartment complex in Pensacola had just turned into a crime scene. When deputies arrived, they were met with a horrifying sight. Star was lying on the ground, barely alive, with multiple gunshot wounds. And that wasn't all. Evidence at the scene showed she had been run over by a car. And not just any car, her own. Who would do something like this? Who would shoot someone, then run them over? The answer came quickly. Carson-Dowdy was gone, and so was Star's vehicle. Investigators pieced it together fast. Witnesses heard the fight. Neighbors saw the argument escalate. Charles had pulled the trigger, and then he'd gotten in her car and driven right over her body as he fled. Star was rushed to the hospital, but it was too late. She didn't make it. Charles didn't get far. Just hours after the murder, police found him with a flat tire on the causeway in Alabama. It wasn't some big shootout. He didn't resist. He was just sitting there, like nothing had happened. Thanks to fast coordination between Escambia County and Baldwin County, along with some tech tracing, Charles was arrested before the night was over. But that didn't bring Star back. This case leaves you asking a lot of questions. How does a man go from cuddling with you on Christmas to pulling a gun on you 10 days later? How does love turn into execution? And more importantly, how many warning signs do we ignore in relationships like this? How often do women try to leave or express concern, and they're told they're overreacting? Charles wasn't some mystery man. He had a whole digital footprint. His own TikToks showed red flags. But like so many abusive partners, he knew how to mask it. To the outside world, he was just another guy. A father, a boyfriend, a content creator. Behind closed doors, he was something else. Star's family was shattered. Her son, just 7 years old, was left without a mother. Friends described Star as brilliant, warm, and incredibly hardworking. She was the kind of woman who checked on her people, lifted others up, and showed up when it mattered. She'd been through so much already, losing her birth mother, raising a child, grinding through school and military service. She had every reason to give up, but she didn't. And just when she was about to cross the finish line, she was taken out by the person who said he loved her. The most haunting part of this story isn't just how Star died. It's how normal everything looked, right up until it didn't. Charles didn't show up in a ski mask. He didn't break in. He was her boyfriend. He had a key. He knew her schedule. He knew her son. And still, he killed her in cold blood. He didn't just shoot her once. He shot her multiple times. Then he backed up the car and ran her over. This wasn't a crime of passion. This was destruction. This was domination. This was, if I can't have you, no one can. It was evil, plain and simple. Star Michael Tucker Campbell mattered. She wasn't just a headline or a hashtag. She was a mother, A daughter, a sister, a friend. She was working towards something. She was building a better life. And now she's gone because of a man who couldn't handle rejection. Let this be a wake-up call. Not just about dating apps, but about control, about emotional manipulation, about how fast love can turn dangerous. If someone ever makes you feel small, scared, or trapped, that's not love. That's a warning. And you don't have to wait for it to get worse to leave. Because sometimes, worse looks like this. Watch the next case. It could save someone's life. Hit subscribe so you don't miss the next story.